All right, now the next piece we have is
the Theta Casablanca 3 digital surround sound processor, which in a conventional version off the shelf is designed to do 8.4 or 7.5, again from anything from mono up into 8-channel digital input. This one has been slightly modified so that it actually will do a complete 8.8, with the idea being that after testing the various different types of sound presentation systems, whether or not it be stereo or 3-channel left, center, right, as was done during those early stereo recording days at Mercury Records,
right,
and all the way up to the typical 5.1 of Dolby Digital or a 6.1 maybe of a DTS, and to take that and to using one of 12 algorithms decide how that is going to be arranged in a circle with the listener, being at the center of it. And therefore the sound field, whatever it started off as, is decoded in such a way as to put you in the middle of the mix, or with the mix in front of you, or next to you, or really whatever is required in order to make it sound realistic.
So what it does is it decompiles it, then reconstructs it to whatever it is you want it to be.
Exactly.
Now, do you have something, because you had mentioned Sony SDDS before, do you have anything here that has Sony SDDS on it, any movie that it's on the disc, or this recreates it?
No, this will recreate it based on the encoded version that's on the disc. So
okay.
if it was mastered in a Dolby Digital format or in a DTS, then it will decode those formats correctly, and then it will give you the choice of how do you want it laid out. And I generally choose an 8.8 sound field for everything. Unless it just turns out to be a 2-channel stereo recording on an LP that really was not designed for any kind of surround extraction. But even there are, it's always worthwhile trying it and seeing what happens, because the amount of information in any of these recordings is vastly greater than anything that we've heard or seen before. And part of it is being able to, extract that information and then recreate the sound field as a whole, rather than the typical venture where you're stuck with that 5.1, and that's where all the sound is going to come out from. And in that arrangement, you'd never ever get anything coming from directly behind you.
Gotcha. Understood. Now, the next piece you have, you've heard the expression 1 in a million. This is 1 in 128 that were handmade. You had to order them before they were even born.
Right.
They're not making these anymore.
They're not making them anymore.
And it was a significant outlay in order to have this piece of equipment in your rack here. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, this is the Mark Levinson number 51 media player. So it's capable of being a disc spinner, in this case, just to transport for anything from CD to DVD audio to regular SD DVDs. And the idea behind the piece when Mark Levinson designed it was to use the finest design and the finest components that they could and really make a statement product that they only intended to sell a very small number of. And so I use this as a reference point to which I can evaluate the playback capabilities of any of the other disc spinners and really in any of the other formats. What this does for regular DVDs or CDs or DVD audio is equivalent to the difference between an F1 Formula One race car and an F-18 jet fighter. So things that apparently you've heard and seen many, many times before are revealed new, almost as though they were HD.
That's neat.
And taking regular CDs and ramping them up to the sound quality that you would get out of a DVD audio or an SACD or even beyond.
And there's only 128, you said?
There's only, I believe, 128 of these. So
that's a unique piece. The next piece is a
Slim Devices digital media transporter, which is now owned by Logitech. And so this is the...
Is that the webcam people?
This is not the webcam people. This is the remote control people.
Okay.
Also, they make mice.
All right.
And various computer peripherals. But this functions then to take any digital audio that I have on any kind of disc that I've loaded into the hard drive server and simply stream it back to the Casablanca 3 in such a fashion that the jitter characteristics of this unit are very similar to the jitter characteristics of this unit in that they're very, very low. Mm-hmm. So I can take a recording on CD, and I can play it back through the Mark Levinson and then have it scanned in through an Apple mini computer onto a hard drive and then stream that right back out and play it back, and there is virtually no difference between these two.
Very
Although
nice.
the difference is there, and easily with the best material, it's worthwhile still playing it
Sure.
back.
Cable box.
The old standby, the Scientific Atlanta, 8300 with an outboard Max Door 300 gigabyte QuickView.
So this is
SATA drive.
DVR.
So that is DVR.
Okay.
So, internally this had about 24 hours worth of high-def recording, and then this adds on another about 48 hours.
Gotcha.
So we've got 70.
Have you had a chance to play with the Motorola HD pieces?
I have not, and I'm very much looking forward to them.
Okay, because I heard...
And, of course, the TiVo pieces that are out there.
I've heard the Motorola DVR is problematic. I haven't played with it, but
Right.
that's what I shouldn't be saying that because I work for Fios. Down here we have this is the DVHS.
DVHS, I believe this is the HDMU5U, which was the last of the commercial machines that they brought out, I think, before basically they killed the format.
Yes, they did.
And this was the only one, other than the industrial machines, that actually has an HDMI output on it.
So it'll do full...
So it'll do the full 1080i off the tape. And, of course, in this case, I need to send that to the Lumagen Vision HDQ to process into 24 frames so that it can be sent digitally to the projector.
Gotcha. Did you ever try the one that they called it a bit bucket? It was like linked at the hip with a DirecTV receiver.
Okay.
And it would record digitally, but you had to play it back through. It was like a container for the digital information. You
Right.
couldn't play directly out of the VCR. It had to go back into the DirecTV receiver.
Right, so it's encoded on the tape in a form that had to be decoded by
Right.
the box. I heard of
Yeah,
it,
and
but I
that
never
went
got
no
involved in
place.
it.
And now this will also do standard VHS and SVHS.
Yes, it will.
Will it output digitally the analog formats, or do you have to use
No,
S out?
it does not have
Okay.
any A to D function
Gotcha.
in it, which is very unfortunate. But of course, the only time that I play tapes down here are the DVHS tapes, because
Gotcha.
in spite of the fact I have tons and tons of regular VHS, most of the material has been replaced by
Yeah, but home movies
CD,
and stuff like
Laserdisc, and stuff like. Agreed. Of course, the benefit now is that we've got all these computers, and it makes it so much easier. So I would probably use this in that case as a high-end transfer solution and go to the computer and then work from there.
And all of these are dampened. They're
Correct.
all-
You can see that they all have slight variations of the O-ring variety.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, the O-rings work much better with heavier components. This is upwards of 80, 90 pounds, and this is almost 70, and so forth. So you can see I've adjusted the number of bands and the locations of them in order to balance the components and make sure that they are, for all intents and purposes, isolated. Not to say that I wouldn't go and replace this target stand, which is very nice and solid
Right.
and filled with lead shot, and it's not going anyplace, and with something that was like the solid tech stands that all of the amplifiers and the
Right.
D-Days are sitting on. So when the projection booth gets built, this will be replaced by a 3 tall standing version of that Solitech, where each of the shelves will of course be independently floating,
And the Solitech is what we saw a little while ago with the Macintosh amplifiers.
like those.
Gotcha.
So-
and you have all of this on an old wooden table.
I have this on a very, very old wooden table that my grandparents used as a dining table. My grandfather, the opera singer. So this table has seated, many, many fine composers and conductors and performers.
And now components.
And now components. And it's solid enough, in particular, so that it can take this huge quantity of weight.
Yeah, how much does that projector weigh?
That's about 285 pounds.
Yeah, so you're talking
Before the lens.
some significant tonnage. Why don't you go ahead and fire that up? And what we'll do is we'll come around. We'll talk to you about the components underneath
Sure.
it while it gets itself ready to go.
Sure.